covering news where you live. This is 5 News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Ellen Thalls. Before we get to the news and weather of the day, let's check in with our 5 News sports team with a look at today's big Razorback game in Louisiana. Heather.
Well, it's a battle for the Golden Boot.
All right, Heather, thanks. Plenty of sunshine today on this beautiful fall day. Are we going to see more of the same tomorrow? Here's Sean with a first look at the forecast.
Unfortunately, we won't, as we're going to continue to see that cloud cover already increasing tonight.
A college student from California is among those killed in last night's terror attacks in Paris. The death toll has climbed to 129 people, with more than 350 others injured. 99 of those are in critical condition. Kenneth Craig reports from Paris.
Across Paris, mourners lit candles and comforted each other at memorials.
A Syrian passport found near one of the terrorists shows its owner entered Europe through Greece in October on one of the islands where refugees arrived after fleeing Syria and elsewhere. But police say the passport is believed to be fake. Republican presidential candidates are speaking out against the Paris attacks. Florida is playing host to 14 Republican presidential candidates this weekend. All are taking part in the Sunshine Summit in Orlando. The event was set to give each candidate a chance to submit their plan for leading the nation, but that quickly changed after the deadly Paris attacks.
ISIS is a creation of a political decision by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama to abandon Iraq against all of our generals' recommendation, against all of the policy recommendations.
At an event in Texas today, presidential candidate Donald Trump held a moment of silence for the victims and said the attacks in Paris wouldn't have happened if France had less restrictive gun laws. After the attacks in Paris last night, a lot of people were left wondering how they could help. One woman in the River Valley says she started with a small plan that she hopes will have a big impact. 5 News reporter Chandler Rogers has the details.
But when they're going through the bridge, hopefully, that's what's in my mind, can see this light, can see this gathering of people together and hopefully catch their attention.
Now that vigil happened at 7:30 tonight and candles were provided. We will have more on that on your 5 News at 10. Around the state, people are showing their support for the victims of the Paris attacks. In Little Rock, the Junction Bridge, which crosses over the Arkansas River, was lit up in red, white, and blue, the colors of the French flag, last night. The company Entergy was the one behind the lights. Now to a developing story we've been following since last night. Fort Smith police have arrested a man they say robbed a local bank. Police arrested Mark Martin around 8:30 this morning after he was located at the Walgreens on the corner of Rogers Avenue and Greenwood Road. They say Martin robbed the Arvest Bank on Rogers Avenue just before 6 yesterday evening. Martin is now being held at the Sebastian County Detention Center on an aggravated robbery charge. Happening today, the 4th annual Veterans Parade and Fall Festival honored local veterans at Chaffee Crossing. The event honors military veterans from all branches, but this year the theme was honoring Vietnam veterans. After the parade, the Fall Festival kicked off near the museums of Chaffee with all kinds of food and fun activities. There was also a coat drive held for homeless veterans today. Organizers were asking for winter coats, hats, gloves, scarves, and new socks to help homeless veterans stay warm this winter. And some of the 5 News team was in attendance at today's parade. 5 News anchors Darren Bobb and Caitlin Zollner, as well as 5 News reporters Amy Slanchik, Laura Simon, and Meredith Marney all took part in today's festivities. In Fayetteville, a 5K race was held to benefit the Fayetteville National Cemetery. The 7th annual Veterans Memorial 5K race was held to help raise funds for additional land so the cemetery can continue to bury veterans. Organizers say the event was a success with hundreds of runners in attendance and nearly $25,000 raised. The next event at the National Cemetery will be a wreath-laying ceremony in December.
We've had so much sunshine today, however, we're trading for cloudier skies going into tomorrow. We'll talk about rain chances coming up in Futurecast.
And still ahead, some local high school students got to experience campus life firsthand this morning at the University of Arkansas Fort Smith's Preview Day. Plus, we'll hear from the group that creates the nation's highest military honor. All that and more when we return.
You're watching 5 News on KXNW 34, the most watched local news at 9. Covering news where you live, this is 5 News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Ellen Thalls. Unseasonably warm temperatures continue today across much of the viewing area. Here's Garrett with a quick look at our forecast.
Yeah, warmer than normal weather where you live, where I live, and all over Arkansas and Oklahoma and the southeast for that matter.
Garrett, thanks. And while we've had mild weather in our area, other parts of the state have seen a different story. Severe weather in Pope County leaves one woman dead. Police say an 18-year-old woman was killed after a tree fell on her home during Wednesday's storms. According to investigators, high winds and heavy rain caused the tree to become uprooted and fall on the woman's home.
It was very windy.
An 18-month-old toddler was also trapped inside the home. Firefighters were able to rescue the toddler, who was currently being treated at a hospital. The Pope County Sheriff's Office is still not releasing the name of the woman who was killed by the tree. Heavy winds also affecting those living in Van Buren County. Strong winds bringing down trees and power lines, as well as ripping off the roofs of several homes. While many people are sad to see their homes destroyed so close to Christmas, many are thankful that the only damage was done to their properties and not themselves. In Mississippi, a 7-year-old boy died during Wednesday's heavy storms. Marshall County Coroner James Anderson said the boy was in a car with his family when a tornado touched down in the area. The coroner didn't have details of the death, but said it was storm-related. 6 counties were affected by the severe weather Wednesday afternoon. At least 3 injuries have been reported in the state as search and rescue efforts are underway and damage assessments are being done. A local firefighter is being called a hero after he lost his life while trying to help others in a multi-car pileup on the interstate. Huntington volunteer firefighter Terry Bailey died late Monday night on Interstate 49 near Texarkana. According to troopers, extremely dense fog led to multiple car pileups. Bailey had stopped to help victims when he was struck by a pickup.
That wasn't his district where he worked, first on the volunteer fire department. He done what he was trained to do.
2 others died in the crash and several others were taken to area hospitals. A Benton County lawyer is out of jail after he was arrested on suspicion of offering legal help in exchange for sex. Brian Powell was booked into the Benton County Jail yesterday after the sheriff's office arrested him on suspicion of patronizing a prostitute and 2 misdemeanor charges of unlawful possession of a firearm. Powell was released this morning on a felony citation. His court date has been set for February of next year. Well, this time of year is busy for everyone, but for the United States Postal Service, it's the busiest time of the year. 5 News reporter Chandler Rogers went along with a mailman on his route as he delivered mail and season's greetings.
For nearly 13 years, George Davis has walked the same route in Fort Smith.
Davis says if any packages come in that look like they might be Christmas presents, there will be carriers out delivering on Christmas Day so everyone can have their presents on time. We're following breaking news now out of Sebastian County, where police say 2 juvenile girls have escaped from the Ouachita Wilderness Camp, which is a juvenile detention center near Mansfield. One of the girls is African American, while the other is white. Both girls are wearing red shirts and khaki pants. Police want to make sure people are keeping their doors locked and cars secure while police search for the 2 girls. A new park is opening at the most historic spot in Elm Springs. The namesake Springs of the town will now be permanently protected by becoming the new Steele-Stevens Heritage Park. The 1-acre land was donated to Elm Springs by Gene and Glenda Stevens, who own the land on Water Avenue. We spoke with residents about the new addition coming to their town.
I think, anything that brings traffic to a small town always improves everything in the small town. So it's exciting and it's fun.
The Historical Society of Elm Springs will conduct a parkland dedication ceremony for the Steele-Stevens Heritage Park that will happen in spring of 2016. New video has emerged in the controversial weekend arrest in Maryland. A Baltimore County police officer is now being investigated after video shows him repeatedly punching unarmed teenager Zachary Blumenstein in the face. New video release shows the officer striking the teen repeatedly as he struggles to stay standing. Police say they ordered Blumenstein to leave the sidewalk outside of a restaurant after he tried to start a fight. The officer involved in the arrest is on administrative duty. Police believe a fire at a Kentucky detention center was intentionally set. Firefighters were called to the jail fire earlier this morning. They say the fire started in the jail's ventilation system, and jail staff noticed the smoke. The alarm system activated, but the sprinkler system did not. 13 inmates and 2 staffers were treated for smoke inhalation. Jail officials say the fire was started after a confrontation over a TV set in an inmate's cell. This Christmas week has been heart-wrenching for the families of 6 U.S. troops killed by a Taliban suicide bomber. One by one, their remains are being sent home. Weijia Zhang reports.
The remains of 6 U.S. soldiers killed in Afghanistan were returned to Delaware's Newcastle Air National Guard Base in a solemn military ceremony Wednesday afternoon.
The Bagram Air Force Base is about 25 miles north of Kabul. It's one of the main bases for 9,800 troops left in Afghanistan after international troops ended combat operations there last year. Ride-sharing app Uber is now available to people in Fort Smith. After the break, we'll show you how it'll affect those living in the River Valley.
You're watching 5 News on KXNW 34, the most watched local news at 9.
He started shooting, and I was looking at his face. I think I had 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds to look at him, to try to remember who he was and why he was doing that or whatever. And then the shots came through the glass.
2 civilians and 1 police officer are dead after a man goes on a shooting rampage at a Planned Parenthood clinic in Colorado. We'll have more details on that story in just a moment. Good evening, I'm Ellen Thalls. Before we get to the rest of today's news headlines, let's check in with Sean with a look at the heavy rain falling where you live.
Well, right now it's a little bit more on the drier side. We dealt with the heavier rain earlier this morning.
Okay, Sean, thanks. We're following a developing story from near the Bobby Hopper Tunnel, where 9 people, including 3 infants, are injured in a multi-car crash. Arkansas State Police say at least 4 vehicles were involved in the accident on Interstate 49 near mile marker 39 near around 2:40 this afternoon. You're looking at a photo of traffic backed up on the interstate. Troopers say none of the injuries are life-threatening, but victims were taken to area hospitals to be treated. Troopers say the accident is likely rain-related, but do say the crash is still under investigation. Springdale police say a man is behind bars after he beat a woman multiple times before locking her in a room. This man, Charles Lanos, faces felony aggravated assault charges as well as numerous other misdemeanor charges. Police say the incident started this morning when Lanos began hitting the victim after an argument. The victim said Lanos then pushed her into a room and blocked the door. Lanos' bond has not yet been set, but he will make his first court appearance on Monday. Besides dangerous river conditions, the heavy rain is also canceling several local events where you live. In Paris, the annual Christmas parade and Trail of Holiday Lights ceremony had to be rescheduled due to weather. The new date for the event will be Friday, December 4th at 6 o'clock. The Christmas parade of the Ozarks has also been rescheduled due to weather. The parade was set to take place tonight. But according to the Springdale Chamber of Commerce, it will now be held on Monday, November 30th. The parade is scheduled to begin at 6 in the evening. Well, with the holidays just weeks away, a new holiday activity kicks off this weekend. The Gardenland Express train display is in full swing at the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks. Aside from the trains, there were also loads of fun holiday activities for kids to take part in. We spoke with one of the event organizers to tell us more about the display.
Well, we've always enjoyed doing this, and it's fun having coming out after we've been running all summer.
The Gardenland Express is open again tomorrow from 1 until 4 in the afternoon. You can also catch the display again the next 2 weekends as well. Across the nation, the suspected Planned Parenthood shooter is being held without bond. Robert Deere is due to appear in court on Monday. He's the man accused of opening fire at the Colorado Springs Clinic. Andy Rose reports.
Early Saturday morning, officers escort their fallen brother as his body is taken away from the scene of yet another tragic shooting.
Officer Swayze leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. The other 2 victims in the shooting have not yet been identified. Police say a love triangle has led to a murder in Texas. Detectives say 78-year-old Dennis Gibson shot his wife and his wife's lover. The The lover was taken by life flight to the hospital but was later pronounced dead. The wife is expected to recover. Investigators took the elderly suspect into custody this morning. They say he confessed to the shooting.
That's a little scary, but I mean, it's hard to believe. He's always been a very quiet, nice, considerate man. He comes and tells us stuff like, oh, your lights are on, oh, something's happening, stuff like that.
Police say the victim came to the house to pick up the woman to take her out to celebrate a birthday.